Welcome, final expense agents and brokers, to the most popular audio training and podcast in the industry, The Lead Jerk Show, where we cut through the red tape and give you only the best in expert interviews. So strap in and grab a cold beverage and get ready to learn and earn. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the one and only Matt Lowery, also known as The Lead Jerk.
Alrighty guys, this is Matt Lowery, aka The Lead Jerk, and we're coming to you today with Chris Westfall. He is the owner of MedicareAgentTraining.com. Again, that's MedicareAgentTraining.com. This is a very power-packed interview full of a lot of great information for new as well as veteran agents. Chris has been running the site for a while. He put it all together, and he has also been in the insurance industry for over a decade. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get the interview started now, and grab a pen or a pencil and some paper and get ready to take some notes. This is going to be a great interview. All right, everybody. We're here with Chris Westfall, and he is with MedicareAgentTraining.com. And Chris, I appreciate your time. I know you got a lot going on there where you're at in, I believe, South Carolina. So if you could, I'd like for you just here in the beginning to, again, mention your name, your contact information, your website, and then if you could give us a little brief summary of kind of what you do on a daily basis.
Okay. Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me. My name is Christopher Westfall. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina now. I'm originally from Florida, and we just moved here about 6 months ago. Loving the Charleston, South Carolina scene. Being in the Southeast, the people are super friendly, and actually Charleston's known as the country's friendliest city, so it's kind of a nice place to move to. My website, I've got a couple ones for seniors out there that are buying Medicare supplements, and that's SeniorSavingsNetwork.org, a name that I trademarked so it would stop being stolen by other people. And then the other one is MedicareAgentTraining.com, where I just found that over the years, especially 8 years ago when I got started in this business, there was no electronic application. All we could do is mail packets to people and pray and hope that they made the same decision when they got that mail packet and decided to sign that thing where indicated and send it back to us. Well, that didn't work very well. So about 8 years ago, I came up with a version of an electronic application, which was really just taking a PDF document, an application, turning it into a way that a person could sign it over the screen using a screen share and nothing more than their mouse. So when I came up with that process, it really just changed the world for me in doing sales over the phone with Medicare. So I figured other people might want to know about that. So I started telling other agents about it. And then the training site, MedicareAgentTraining.com, just came about after there were just too many people to help on one-on-one basis. So I changed it to a one-to-many basis by a membership site so I can let them know what the latest and greatest is going on in the world of selling over the phone.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I've obviously I peruse the website on a regular, consistent basis, and I mean there's a lot of information there. It's really, I think you've got a section even on there where people can show up and it kind of walks you through, go here first, here first, here first, and so that's pretty neat. Well, Chris, how did you actually how did you get into the Medicare business, whether it's selling or helping new agents? How did you everybody has their own way they fell into insurance, and then they choose kind of what they which way they want to go. So can you let everybody know kind of what your story is there?
Yeah, I was working in law enforcement. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to help people. So about 5 years old, I decided I wanted to be a policeman. So in Florida, at 19 years old, you can be a police officer. So I went to the police academy and started as a cop at 19 years old. Worked for a small city department, worked for the Daytona Beach beach rangers, running on the beach during spring break as a cop, and boy, that was just miserable, let me tell you. But anyway,
I bet.
Then I went to work at the sheriff's office, did investigations, did crime prevention, public speaking, started speaking in front of larger and larger crowds. And then I realized, no matter how hard I work for the government, I'm not going to make more than whatever it was, $60,000 a year. That's it. That's my top. But then I figured out that working 2 days on and 2 days off left me with literally half the calendar that I could fill doing other stuff. So I got my insurance license in 1995 and started doing things on my day off like final expense leads. So I started doing final expense because it was so simple. I could do it on my day off and not even think about it anymore. No real big serious case follow-up on my days that I was working. And I did that for a number of years. Well, in 2008, I'd had it with the politics and the limitations of doing law enforcement on that scale. And when I found out that to be promoted to lieutenant from sergeant, it was actually going to be a pay cut. Ridiculous, going on salary. So I figured, well,
Wow. Yeah.
I got to do something. So I took the leap, took some retirement money with me, and started doing insurance full time. And in Florida, it gets to be a heat index of about 108 on any given day during the summertime, running around, driving here and there and everywhere. And I just got tired of the what I call windshield time, just driving and driving and driving. And I figured there's got to be a better way. And I met an old mentor from the insurance forums who told me, son, if you want to make it in this business, you need to build residual income because you're not always going to be able to work as hard as you can today.
Right.
And while I was making really good money doing it every day, I did realize if I did have a car accident, and I've spoken with many agents in the years since that have had car accidents, that have become handicapped, disabled, they couldn't go anymore to go out and see people face to face. And so I started tinkering with the Medicare supplements. And in Florida, it's real hard to sell Medicare supplements because there's an HMO on every street corner. It's all Medicare Advantage stuff. So I started looking outside the state of Florida in states like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Michigan, where I found you can get a non-resident license for like $16. And why not if you're doing it over the phone? So the rest is kind of history. I started doing it 1 day a week doing Medicare, then 2 days a week. Then when the residuals took over, doing it full time. And I just wish, as I hear all the time, I wish I'd started doing it sooner because those residuals and the referrals that come from it, when you're just saving people money instead of trying to get them to give up money maybe for the first time, what I do is I find what they've got and I replace it with something less expensive, although it's the same benefit. So literally we're giving money back to people, and that's just a far easier sale, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The easiest sales I come across are when somebody always has some kind of coverage,
Right.
So yeah.
They see the value already.
They do, exactly. They've already got it earmarked. So, Chris, what because you explained it really good in a nutshell there, and I know there's a lot in between that you dealt with, right?
Yeah.
on getting it down. What's been, or what was, I should say, the biggest hurdle to overcome while working, in MedSups? Was it just figuring out that, the way to do things with technology, or the apps? I mean, kind of everybody's got their own, thing that kind of they have to work a little extra hard on. What was yours that you overcome that made it a little better for you?
Well, and I started studying a lot of people who have made it in other industries selling other things by phone. Even people who've sold Rolls-Royce by phone, sold cars, sold everything by phone, and reading every book I could get my hands on from Mike Brooks and everybody that specializes in how to convince people by phone. And I came to the realization that it all comes down to trust. And the biggest hurdle in any phone sale is getting somebody to trust you. So I focused real hard on how can I build the trust with them and eliminate the walls that automatically go up when somebody calls you on the phone and you weren't expecting it and they're offering you something. Immediately there's that resistance there. So I spent the next couple of years trying to come up with a system where I could build that trust and the rapport, and everything else is easy. I mean, it's a no-brainer if you've got Plan F with one company and Plan F with a different company, and I could save somebody $100 a month. Why wouldn't they take it? Well, the only reason they won't is because of trust. So I came up with a system where we do, and now it's commonplace. A lot of people are doing it, but at the time, no one was doing it. Doing screen share. Back then, it was with Makogo and Tele something or another. There were horrible screen share programs where the person had to download a program, install it, and then run it. But if I could get them through that technology curve, and now it's so much easier than it used to be. They don't have to do any of that stuff. But back then, if I could get them on my screen and they can see me, I could wave at them on the camera, I could show them the documents, I could show them the company's credibility, then it's just a formality, just doing the application. And that's where we are today. Now I can literally send someone an email, get their permission, send them an email with a link in it. They click that link, they can see me, boom, just like I'm sitting in their living room. But the best thing is when I hit disconnect, I can leave California and be in, Washington State in 2 seconds, and then I can be in Michigan, I can be in Georgia, all because sending an email with a little link in there and it pops up on their screen. It's made a world of difference because we've completely eliminated the biggest obstacle, which was trust.
Right, and especially with seniors, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's you find that just across the board, like you said, in pretty much every industry, and with good reason. I can see why there would be a trust issue there, and then when you can see somebody face to face the way you're doing it, it
Right.
definitely builds rapport and trust. So kudos for figuring that out. I know, a lot of people they'll hear how somebody did something and they don't really realize how much work actually went into,
Right.
getting everything pioneered for the first time like you've done it. So I want to say there's a lot of guys out there that I know that appreciate what you do. So that's awesome. Um, you know, Leading up to that, the way you do it now, what marketing methods have you used in the past that maybe didn't work, and what do you employ now to, spearhead a good, strong lead flow in your pipeline, I guess?
Yeah, back in 2009, 2010, we were using insuranceleads.com and all web leads and all those online lead vendors when online leads were completely, for the most part, legitimate. I mean, we'd get a lead from them, and I came up with I didn't come up with it, I found it. There was a plugin for Firefox. What was it called? It was called Check for Change. And what it would do is if you're on a lead vendor's website where they populate where the leads are going to be, this program built into the web browser would refresh the browser every second. And if it noticed something different on the web page, and that something different would be, there's a new lead on your account, it would check it literally every second. And as soon as that lead would come up, an alarm would sound. And then with the click to call feature built in on Skype, when we use Skype to call out, I still do, we could click on the phone number and it bypassed the plain old telephone switch, the POT system, and instantly rang that person's house. So on every lead that I got, when I had that thing active, I was the first caller. And that was so critically important on shared leads. And we wrote hundreds of people that way by buying a shared lead for $7 and then just being the first one notified of the lead and the first one on the phone with them. Unfortunately, that all came crashing down around 2011 when the online lead vendors started paying these aggregators, these affiliates, to just submit junk, I guess right out of white pages or something.
Yep.
And those things just turned to absolute trash. So then I started hiring telemarketers. I did a lot of research on John Jonas's site about, what was it called? ReplaceMyself.com. And I went through that program on how to hire people in the Philippines, what their customs are, what they're used to being paid, how to pay them, and all that. And so I had some telemarketers in the Philippines, and I still do. And I can't even keep up with the leads that they generate. And they just use a predictive dialer that we have a discount for our members. But they use that predictive dialer, and they just continuously call people, giving them the opportunity to be interested or not. And if they are, they send that information to me. And then in my office, I have a screener who goes through the process with them of finding out what they have, what the potential could be to save money, if they could qualify to save money, and if they want to talk to me. So now all I do is I just talk to the people who are at the end of that funnel. Now, some of my agents are doing direct mail very, very successfully. Others are doing, door knocking, literally getting a list of people and going out and seeing the people. I don't really recommend that, but it works and no lead cost at all. But everything from telemarketing to local seminars, which we cover on the site, using direct mail effectively with discounts, everything that we've tried works. It's just, what do you feel most comfortable with? I like telemarketing because it's pretty much an instant lead, instantly generated, as opposed to the 2-3 week turnaround it could be with direct mail.
Right. And then again, you've got, I would assume, like in other verticals in insurance, you've got a, lower response rate and better response rate in some states for direct mail. But, working by the telephone like you do, it kind of cuts through that. So I don't usually like make notes, but I'm making some notes here. This is good stuff. So okay, so that brought you kind of to where you are now, as far as how you actually have somebody there that I guess is kind of a buffer to get to you. And I know your site goes over all that stuff in a lot of clear detail. Right. Now, one thing I was really interested in is who, everybody's got their favorite carrier, right? Right. Or a couple, and everybody likes different carriers for different reasons. But as of right now, and we're in June of 2015, who if you could say, is your favorite carrier or a couple of them, and why?
Yeah.
You know.
And that's one of the reasons why my membership site is an ever evolving thing. It's not just one static thing of here's how to sell insurance over the phone successfully. It's always who's doing what in the marketplace. But just about every quarter, whoever's in the front, whoever's in the lead for whatever reason, moves. They change. Like we've had Oxford Life had a fantastic electronic application. They hired a new compliance officer. Everything changed. We had Equitable, which only had a phone application. Then they added an online version of an e-app you could do if that was your preference. That made it much easier. We had Aetna, who 4 years ago at the MedSup conference said, we don't believe in electronic applications. They're too scary. Now they've got the easiest electronic application in the industry. So it's an ever-evolving, ever-changing paradigm where who's going to be number one based on rate, customer service, compensation, electronic application, delivery. And so it's always evolving. So today, if we just take a stab in time, I would have to say that Aetna is my number one. They've been aggressively priced. They've changed their pricing on Plan G, which is my personal favorite. It's the best balance of the plans for long-term growth on the residual side, because nobody's going to want to jump ship because they're not having massive rate increases on Plan G. Aetna gets it. They realize that, and now it seems like all the other carriers are getting it too. So Aetna's got the long-term brand stability, the big name that people don't say, what? I've never heard of that company. Now the easiest electronic application, really friendly people that actually answer the phone. So if I had to take a stab at this point in time, Aetna would be my number one go-to. And of course, that's also geography based. If you're looking at Wisconsin, you've got a very limited number of carriers, and Aetna's probably not even one of them. It all depends on the region that you're marketing in. So an agent really has to look at the quote engine on their given chosen market if they want to choose to do direct mail or telemarket in one particular state. Who are the top 3 carriers, and what are their underwriting criteria? Because they're all different. How is their electronic application? Is it easy? One of my favorite companies for electronic application ease and underwriting simplicity is New Era Life. Unfortunately, they're not in all 50 states. I wish they were. We went to Mexico with a trip with them this past year just based on the number of states that I sell it in, 5 states, because I just sell the heck out of that program because the underwriting is just so simplified. They don't care what drugs a person's taking, where every other company makes us list every drug on the application. So I could write 2 New Era applications in the same hour, where it would take me an hour to go through the health questions with a Mutual of Omaha with 25 health questions and
Right.
listing every drug and that kind of thing. So how they treat us, the agent, as well as how they treat the client, helps me to determine you've heard the old axiom, give a man a fish, you feed him for today. Teach a man to fish. In this case, teach an agent how to determine today for them and their market what's the best carrier. That's what I found is the most important thing, because it's going to be an ever-moving target. But when an agent can learn what the criteria is that they should be looking for, best rate, customer service, financials on a company, do your due diligence on a company. We've had the latest company that came out, some bad historical financial data that's there for the looking, but many agents are just like, oh, a marketer called me and wants me to sell a new company. Okay, well, here's a clue. Your seniors are going to go to a little search engine called Google, and they're going to type in the name of that company, and you don't want them to inform you of the due diligence that you should have done prior to marketing that particular brand.
Right. Yep.
It's pretty easy nowadays, and your seniors are definitely doing it. They're going to search the heck out of your company that you're recommending. So I think it's incumbent on the agents, and I do that as a review on the site for the agents that don't have time to do it, but I think it's everybody's job to look into the company a little bit that they're going to be offering and make sure there's no skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, and I'll say this, going along with that, on your YouTube channel, I think the last time I looked, you've got over 300 videos posted. Okay, yeah. But I also want to say that any Medicare agents out there that aren't a member of your site,
right,
there's a lot of videos behind the scenes that aren't public, that are privy, that give out a lot of really good information, like you just went over about that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure I say that, being a member of that, you get more than, what's on the YouTube site.
Right, that's for sure. And I kind of try to make it where the public videos are strategically public for a reason. They kind of tell half the story. And if you want to get the real story, things that I can't even make public. A couple of weeks ago, I got a call from a CEO of a major insurance company saying, you put something out there that was a little bit negative about our company. And as a favor to me, would you please take it down? And you really have to wonder, I guess this reach is really getting out there and it's making waves. Well, I don't want to make waves, but I want to be honest. I want to have reviews that are honest, but you can't put everything out there in the public forum. So that's why I have this membership site too. It's kind of locked down. If you want to see the dirty behind the scenes things that we can't air the laundry of our industry out there for the public, it's
Right.
a good idea to have that locked behind a password and verify that people actually are agents before they can access that kind of information.
Right, because the thing I noticed about with you and the way you do business is you're going to be honest on both fronts. But
Right.
yeah, that makes sense to kind of divide them equally.
Yeah, exactly. Can't put everything public, unfortunately.
Right. So as far as your training site goes, when somebody becomes a member, what is there? We know the videos are there to help, the ongoing updates on carrier and marketing. As far as other training, product lead selection, what all else? I mean, it's a ton of stuff. So just
Yeah.
pick what you want.
It is a ton of stuff. It's a big education to go from knowing nothing about Medicare supplements, which a lot of people come there from that. And as a matter of fact, other FMOs are sending agents to my site. They're saying, hey, we want your contract. We get paid on the contract, but here, go over there and get training from people who are actually selling. So I'm welcoming those people, glad to have them. And the training starts off right from the first day. Our autoresponder generates an email that has all the relevant links on finding out what Medicare is, how to pick a carrier, how to pick a state, how to pick a market, how to get a non-resident license, everything you need to know step by step. And we do have discounts that are very substantial discounts on, if you want to do your own telemarketing, how to do that at the cheapest possible price. And it's under $100 a month for unlimited data and unlimited calling. And that's just amazing. 3 lines calling out for you automatically. How to hire somebody at that point. And I call it shifting into second gear, where you have somebody else doing that frontline hard work, the cold calling, and you're sitting back and just qualifying people and writing applications. And then third gear, how do you hire an assistant to do the screening and the setting appointments for you? So now you're really moving fast. Discounts on direct mail, how to pick a state, how to build the relationships with the direct mail carriers like we've got. And then attending the national events. We have a national Medicare supplement conference that happens at least every other year. And I go to those events and network with people and find out behind the scenes, hey, what does your company plan on launching? What's your feeling on agents doing sales over the phone? Some carriers are all for it. Some carriers are really resistant to that and are going to put up roadblocks. But you can't find that out in their underwriting guide. You have to press the flesh and meet these people in person. And unfortunately, not all the agents can book a plane flight and just fly down to a conference and spend a few days pressing the flesh with people. So I try to bring that kind of behind the scenes things there too. But again, it's always moving. It's always changing. We have lead vendors that come and then they go, and some can keep up and some can't. So we're always looking for opportunities to bring things to the agents as a group discount so we can negotiate something that an agent on their own can't do. And then, of course, we've got to stay on top of all the carriers because they change like lead companies. Unfortunately, they change their position. They jockey back and forth between who's number one and who's not committed to the marketplace and who's not rolling out any more states. And then the other companies that are like Mutual of Omaha is coming out with 4 new states. It's amazing. They've been around forever, and now they want to get aggressive in there on that Plan G price. So next quarter, we may be talking about Mutual of Omaha's new emergence as the number one carrier. Who knows? But the point is, it all changes, and keeping on top of that is sometimes too much for the agent who's in the trenches every day, talking to people, writing applications. So I try to take a step back out of my own practice, and when I'm not writing applications, I'm searching the internet, I'm talking to colleagues, I'm talking to mentors, I'm talking to agent contacts in the corporations themselves and saying, what's new, what's coming out, what do we have to look forward to, and what do you offer to the agent marketplace. And so that's really what we have, is not only the discounts and the training, but also forward looking and where do we need to position to take advantage of where the next opportunity is going to be.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned about how some of the companies are getting more aggressive with Plan G.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because of some of the stuff going on with F right now and some of the
No, this
announcements? No.
no, this started 2 or 3 years ago when we
Okay.
started seeing, and I did a video about 3 years ago showing my notices, my renewal notices from all the carriers on Plan F and Plan G. I mean, every company out there, they would send these PDF notices, and I printed them all out, and I showed them in a webinar. I'm like, look at this company, look at this one, and this one. And what we were seeing was like Plan F rate increases were 8, 9, 12%. Plan G every time was 0, 2, 3%. And that trend just continued to happen since 2010 when Medicare modernization happened. The companies are realizing, and Joe Lieberman spoke to this when he was speaking before the panel in Congress about the Plan F debate. And he
Right.
said when you have that first dollar coverage, overutilization is as high as 25%. And you can eliminate that overutilization by taking away the first dollar cut. Well, Plan G has been doing that and reaping the results of it. You know, their claims loss ratio is much, much better on Plan G, and that translates into lower renewal increases. Now, it's a little bit harder to explain to people. And I get this. It's harder to explain. You're going to have a small deductible, and that's it. When you're done with that, it's over. When all the other agents out there who are, and I'm telling you, I heard about this yesterday from another client who said an agent told her that there is no other plan. They don't know about any other plan, and Plan F is the only one you need. Because they did not even
Wow.
commit to learning that there's anything other than Plan F. So I've been preaching kind of against the grain for years now, saying don't take what everybody else is taking because that's going to get you the highest renewal increase, and that's where all the guaranteed issue people had to be funneled into Plan F. I think that was a lobbying effort by the insurance industry since they make so much money off of Plan F.
Mm-hmm.
But then this whole thing came about with first dollar coverage being eliminated in Congress, and the bill signed by the president is going away in 2020. We don't know, and this was a meeting at the Medicare Summit in Orlando last time. All the actuaries have no idea what the NAIC is going to propose and what's going to come out. It could be a Plan F modified or Plan F alternate, or some kind of different variation where they're going to add some additional features to Plan F so that they can charge that extra premium on there like they have been doing for Plan F, and make it some kind of profit model for the insurance company to still incentivize people to buy such a plan. But I've found for years now that Plan G, with the renewals and the fact that all the guaranteed issue people can't get that plan unless they can qualify medically for it, puts people in such a better risk pool and a better position for the future that, when we call our renewals every year and we say, how you doing on your health? How you doing on your rate? And they'll say, oh, I just had a heart attack, but I had a rate increase and I would really like to shop the market. Well, unfortunately, that person is stuck where they are because they had that significant acute event. We can't move them even if we wanted to. So I think it's incumbent on the agent to look not just at today and not just the ease of saying, oh, it covers everything. Look a little bit deeper so that next year you don't have somebody freaking out that they've, one, got a bad rate increase, and two, they potentially can't move for life because they've now developed a condition that makes them, in the game of musical chairs of Medicare, they're stuck. They have to sit there and stay on that plan potentially for the rest of their life. And I think doing the best job for our clients means looking back over the rate increase history, recognizing that other plans have better experience than the one that everyone else is selling, and taking the time to explain that to the client, and you get a much better client. I've heard it thousands of times now. Wow, nobody's ever told me that before. No other agent has told me that before about, in this case, Plan G. Now it's going to be more of a conversation. I mean, Mutual's pushing it hard. Aetna's pushing it hard. Equitable just came out with a Plan G. Oxford is filing for Plan G. Everybody wants to jump into that market now, but we've had at least a 2 or 3 year head start on it, and I'm excited about that.
That's good to hear. Do you think up until the point the NAIC or Congress decides exactly what they're going to do, people are going to still see and experience, maybe even bigger rate increases on that F?
Yes, unfortunately, they've decided that they're going to be grandfathered in. They're not going to be acclimated into a guaranteed issue situation to get a different plan. Instead, they're going to be grandfathered in, just like the old Plan J people, Plan I, and all that. So they can keep their old plan, and they can only get off of it if they qualify medically. So the people who are stuck there are going to see that death spiral of rate increases. This is my opinion. They're going to have higher and higher rate increases because the only people that are going to stay are the old and the sicker ones. There's nobody turning 65 coming into Plan F anymore after 2020. So all that young blood, the median age is going to be going way high. No young blood coming into Plan F period means it's going to be a rate increase hell for everybody that's unfortunately stuck on that plan.
Right. Yeah. I just got my aunt out of one. So yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, obviously, Chris, you've done other, sectors of insurance, and you've made a good case on why, you went into Medicare supplement. But what specifically was it about it that you chose to go ahead and jump, with both feet in with Medicare versus other verticals?
Well, I love selling. And when I was 5 years old, I told you the story. I wanted to help people. And I've never found a neater niche to be able to help our senior citizens, which I think is our greatest generation. They appreciate quality, they appreciate customer service, and they're the sweetest people to ever deal with. And literally being able to go around like Robin Hood and give out refunds to people, lower prices on exactly what they already had before, is such a great feeling that I can go to sleep at night going, and I just told my wife yesterday, we wrote an 86-year-old man that got approved yesterday, saving him over $100 a month on what he was paying before. And that's the kind of story you can come home and go, guess what I did? I say, and I'm not saying guess how much money I made on it. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about the savings, and that propels me to try to help more seniors who are stuck in plans. They don't know who to call. They don't know where to go. So it's kind of a selfish thing, really, in that I love that feeling of conquering somebody's high rate, conquering their confusion and their frustration, and giving them an alternative with a better company, a better program that's aggressively priced, that wants their business and competing for their business and being able to help them. And then all the other stuff that comes with it, the cross-selling opportunities, the ability to help them with their finances with annuities that some of my agents are doing now to a huge degree, making a great income, helping them with their money management and their annuity, all that kind of stuff, and the life insurance sales that come with it, complex, big cases, all comes from having a heart of wanting to help. And just doing that as a service, if you did nothing else, if you just focused on the Medicare, you can build a tremendous residual income, a walk-away retirement income for you and your family in a lifestyle that can't be compared anywhere else, and you can work less and still make more, which is amazing. The referrals that come from saving people money like this and helping people like this are incredible. It's their sisters, their brothers, their mothers in many cases. This was the father of an existing client. And helping those people, it just perpetuates other things. It just continues to grow into new tentacles, new opportunities all the time. But, I've been so head down focused on just doing the Medicare stuff, and it has treated me very well over the last 8 years that I've been focused just on the Medicare side of it. I'm just so glad that I started focusing on the renewals and the residual aspect of it for my family. I mean, being able to take off a month at a time. Yeah, I just could never do that with Final Expense. I always took my leads with me, and I wrote business. We'd go to Anna Maria Island in Florida for a month out of every year during the summer, and I would do Main Street Power Mail, have them drop mail for me, and I would go run leads while my family was vacationing on the beach. We don't have to do that anymore because it's going to come in residual income whether you get out of bed or whether you roll over in bed. I mean, that's residual income, and that's why I like it so much.
I think it's important that, especially over the last, I would probably say, 8 years up to this point, with the way the economy's been kind of back and forth, it's not been an even ebb and flow, and these seniors on fixed income, I mean, that's where you're able to, help them, explain to them and it amazes me now. I'm starting to get referrals on med subs. Yes. People start looking, once they start getting that age. So yeah, it is a pretty awesome feeling to be able to help them like that. Was there anything else you'd like to add, Chris? I know you've got a lot going on today, and I don't want to hold you up too much, but what, if there's one thing you could tell, a new agent or even somebody that's been in this for years that is just now, hearing what you've got to say, and I'm sure there'll be some out there. What's the one thing you want to leave them with? And then I want to make sure we mention your contact information again here towards as we close down the interview.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I deal with this about 50 times a week, agents contact me and they say, "Hey, I want to sell it from home in my underwear. I want to have people calling me and I want to buy all day, but I don't want to do anything. Do you have free leads? Do you have free training? Do you have free customers ready to sign up? Do you have free this, free that, free that?" And my challenge, and that's why, again, I put up the walls to have a membership site so I can separate the wheat from the chaff.
Right.
I want to know who's legitimate, who's going to invest in themselves. But the education doesn't stop there. Once they've joined the site, they've got to put down some serious time, effort, and energy into their own business. They're a business for themselves. So those people who go through the process, they listen to the instruction, they pick the states that I recommend from research, they pick the companies that we recommend, they do the process the way I recommend it, from building trust from the beginning. Those agents are writing me all the time saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is the neatest thing. It's changed my life." And that is really encouraging on the other side. We're helping clients on the one hand, but we're building agencies and careers and lifestyles on the other end. And I'm always frustrated when I find out that an agent has decided that they quit. They quit before they realized the success. And that's the only thing, is if you don't quit, it's going to happen. It's a slow process. It's just like you're building a franchise of a Subway franchise or something. They tell you everything to do, but if you don't stick in there long enough and market yourself good enough, you'll never realize the return on your investment, or even the return of your investment. Well, this is a very small barrier to entry to insurance, and that's good and it's bad. It's good because legitimate people who want to provide a great income for themselves and their family can do so with hard work and dedication. It's bad because it's so easy that unfortunately people get into our industry thinking they're going to get rich overnight by sitting in their underwear and not doing a thing, and
Right.
those people quit and give us all a bad name. So I think for the person who's really committed to doing whatever it takes, and no matter what information I put on this site or anybody puts on any site out there or training, there's going to be times when you have to figure stuff out on your own. You're going to have to pivot, you're going to have to adapt and overcome. Things are not going to be easy every day, and not every day do you write an application. But those people who stay in there long enough, support themselves while they're building the residual income, are the people who on the end of the day are making $20,000, $30,000 a month because they've stuck around long enough to get those referrals. They've stuck around long enough to get that residual income in year 2 and year 3, and it all builds on top of each other. And you get better and you get better. And Jim Rohn said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." And that's the case here. We get better as we stay in the business, as we immerse ourselves in what everybody is saying that's successful. Surround yourself by successful people, and it just kind of naturally rubs off on you. And we've got an agent forum on our membership site where agents who are discovering things for the first time in their business, "Hey, I learned this and it's working for me." We're sharing things back and forth. We're sharing best practices. And it's stuff that they don't want to necessarily share with the entire world. They don't want to share with the agent community at large, but they want to share it with like-minded people committed to their own success who will encourage them and add to that conversation, rather than just taking from it or criticizing them like they do on some other insurance forums online. This is a community of people who are put together for the sole purpose of helping build everybody up. And for the people who take advantage of that, I'm happy to work with them.
Okay. Yeah, I know that it's full of a lot of knowledge, and again, there's things there on the site that aren't out in the open. So kudos to that. The guys that are members that are actually out there, building their own thing and wanting to be successful at it, willing to put in the time to read and like you said, put in the work to make it happen. So that being said, Chris, I want to thank you very much for your time. This has been a great interview, a lot of really, really great information. And if you could, would you please, mention your contact information, your website, and stuff like that
Sure.
that you feel comfortable giving out? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's MedicareAgentTraining.com. And if you just go to Google and you type in Medicare Agent Training, you'll find it that way. Another weird website that we have is they've got all these new weird domain names now. So if you look at MedicareAgent.training, that'll work. But anyway, however you find us on the internet, all the questions are answered there. There's a frequently asked question that pretty much everybody asks the same questions, like, why do you charge a membership fee? How much money can I make? How much do you make on each case? What does it cost to get started? How do you get all that stuff is already answered on the site. And I think people should just check it out. Whether or not they decide to join, there's free stuff there on the blog that can help anybody.
Okay. Well, awesome. Again, I want to thank Chris Westfall for being here. Chris, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I was in your office, a couple of months ago, I think, and we finally met face to face. So you got a really great operation there. And I want to, again, thank you for your time, and I will be in touch.
All right, Matt. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All righty, guys. Well, just like I said, that was a great interview. I want to thank Chris Westfall again for sharing some of his time with us this morning, as well as a lot of his knowledge. And again, if you took some notes, you got something out of this interview. So make sure to visit his site, MedicareAgentTraining.com. Again, MedicareAgentTraining.com. And as always, for the best final expense leads in the insurance industry, visit us at www.theleadjerk.com. Again, www.theleadjerk.com.